Hello and welcome back. I'm back in the grow room. She's pretty loaded in here right now. Uh, Not a lot compared to a really big establishment, but got all kinds of stuff in here growing. I hope you're all having a great day. If not, a little lift is always good. Sometimes simply taking in a breath and letting it fall, and then resting in the silence afterwards is all we need. Sometimes not. Sometimes a massage, a bath, a tea, doing certain things can help calm your mind, relax you, put you at ease. And sometimes what we really need to listen to is a wise person simply talk. And that's what this video is about. I want to hand to you how to listen to a wise person. How to absorb the information, because we're all going to recognize it, but it's when we recognize it as good or bad that we begin to lose sight of what these words, what the wisdom is actually for, what we can do with it, how we can allow it to transform us. So one thing to not do is to look at what a wise person is saying as right or wrong. If you notice you do this automatically, it already happens without trying, it's an automatic response, this is good. If you notice that, then what you are doing essentially is watching the ego. And the essence within you that can see your ego, see the ego, however you want to call it, is you. Is the subjective version, the reality of you before any thought about what you're experiencing appears in your mind. So try not to attach yourself to the strong belief of, I say no, I disagree with what he's saying, I disagree, or I agree. Keep an eye out for that. When you are identifying with using an I statement. So you may get, and it may not come in words, it may come in a feeling of or a feeling of for or against. So what you're doing when you're listening to a wise person speak is you're looking to recognize those flare-ups within you. Oftentimes, you're only going to notice after you're in that identification for a short period of time, and then you feel either for or against. Let's say you're feeling for in this case. You agree, you're nodding, your attitude is one of, yeah, yes, that's right. And what that does is that puts you on one side, but it also defines your enemy. So that is not bad in itself. If you're just listening to a wise person, these are the things that you're going to notice in you when you find yourself identified with a specific I statement, with a part of you that you identify as who you are, what you believe is right or wrong, your belief systems. So when listening to spiritual teachings, a wise man speak, the whole idea is just to watch. observe, not to expect anything from the words. And I've heard this said by Osho, and he describes listening to a wise man speak the same way you would listen to music. I've tried that, and I find in my experience that's really how it penetrates as well. When you're listening to anybody speak from a position of ready to agree or disagree, you're in your mind, you're in your intellect. And the intellect is the attitude of your ego. You can feel yourself as though you're on the precipice, I'm probably saying that wrong, about to jump. You can feel you're anticipating something. So that energy, that attitude is of the ego. But the part of you that watches this from the back, you can call it the space, you can call it emptiness, you can call it God, whatever you want to call it. It makes no difference. But you can recognize it because by watching your thinking or the story or what is going on in your experience, one has the opportunity to recognize that you are watching. Who is watching? You, behind all that is happening. So, as I'm here, I just recognized an urge and I let it pass. Keep in mind, all things will pass. So as you have a thought come to you, you can recognize that it is a thought and then return your attention to the words. And again, you're not looking. The idea of listening to a wise man speak and how to listen to someone speak is so that you're not building an ego. The idea is to do the opposite. A wise message, a wise man is really trying to unravel the ego by pointing out and having yours flare up. The moment you have your own flare up inside of you of your ego, it's an opportunity to recognize who you're not. So, and what happens in this process is you lose yourself in the identification, and then you recognize, oh, what's this? Oh, there's a simple distance, and then in that moment, that you've already achieved the point. And the point is to rest in that, not what you think, oh, look, I see this, but the very awareness of being aware. So you continually pull it back. Each time you recognize in yourself that you're talking, story making, projecting, agreeing, disagreeing, so on, that's the recognition of not who you are, from the perspective of who you are. And then a story will pop up again, and again, continually we'll lose ourselves slightly. So what I've found is that when we listen to teachings, when we listen to a wise man speak, especially at the beginning, it's going to have such a flare up inside of you of your ego fragments. Most of them you wouldn't be aware that they were there to begin with, and you may be left in a state of distress. You might feel anxious, angry, whatever emotion that what was said triggered in you, you may find yourself lost in it. So these are all opportunities. This is what a wise man does when he speaks in this manner. It's to have these things come up in you so that you can recognize what you're not, and you can see your conditioning. Because when you recognize over and over repetitively your conditioning, by recognizing what you're not, you can continually return yourself to the subjective reality of yourself. The part of you that's always behind watching. That never changes. And that is the thing. The part of you that will continually change is what is said about. Even though it's the same argument, maybe, it comes, it has a lifespan, and then it goes. The story. Alias. So that's the whole point of this video, is when you're reading anything, when you're listening to a message from someone that's giving you some wisdom, try not to agree or disagree. Try not to attach to anything that your mind comes up with. Allow all that is not you to come and then go. And continually return your awareness to the state of awareness that is aware that it is aware. It is aware of awareness itself. You continually pull back. And that's the process. So when you first start listening to even a video like this, something will come up in you, and a lot of times you might not be able to make it to the end of the video. A lot of the times something like too boring, or all of these ego fragments, heard this stuff already, or I get it enough already, which is all great. So always remember that you're not listening to someone speak because you want to gather information. If you're listening to wise words, if you're listening to wisdom, you're not trying to add anything to you. These words reveal the conditioning within you, which gives you an opportunity to return to the one center, which is always there, which never changes, and it becomes easier and easier to recognize. Because, again, only your thoughts and the story about what's happening changes, comes and goes. But the aspect of you that is you is continually there. So listening to wise people speak, in my experience, is an opportunity to recognize yourself by recognizing what you're not. So I leave you with that. Whatever time it is that you're watching this video, wherever you are around the world, throwing it backwards today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Peace.